Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Blastyface. Hold on, let me...
Get that crap out of here!
I think we're all extremely sick of those. In today's video, we're gonna look at the top 10 things you can do before Shadowlands. Before we start the video, I just want to thank you guys so much for all the love and support on all of the videos that I've put out. Obviously, I'm a brand new YouTuber and this is all new to me, but I definitely have a vision for the channel, and to see you guys supporting it is just, it makes me feel so good. So, but this is about you guys, and these videos are about helping you, because that's what got me into World of Warcraft, and that's what my inspiration for the channel is. So keep showing that love and support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I just really love seeing all the support. So thank you guys for all of that. So let's jump into the video. What is number one? Choose your main. And I just did a video about this recently. I'll leave a link to that video where I talk about choosing a main, and that should help you choose your main for Shadowlands. A lot of the other things on this list really tie into choosing your main. So that's a really good first place to start. What do you do after you choose your main? There's actually a number of things to do. Gear up. So even though in the pre-patch we're going to get some new gear and we're going to get some ways to help gear up in Shadowlands or before Shadowlands starts, it's still a good idea to start gearing up. And this also ties into some of the other things. So getting familiar with your main while you're gearing up, you're going to get more and more familiar with your main and start learning how to play that. So another thing that ties into that is starting to learn your rotation. And I highly recommend Icy Veins for doing that. It'll give you a quick rundown, and they are usually super quick about updating things. So when pre-patch hits, you'll be able to see what the rotation should be for your new class. You'll be able to start practicing that as you play the game, which I think is one of the best ways to learn your rotation. Obviously, you can also use target dummies and stuff like that. So what is number two? So number two is going to be leveling. It's a really good time right now to level a character because we have a 100% bonus experience boost until at least pre-patch, and it may go further than that. It's just a really good time to level, and that also ties into choosing your main and starting to get familiar with your main. I always think that a great way to do that is to actually play that class, and to do it by leveling up, you get drip fed those abilities, and you really start learning them and learning how those abilities are implemented into a rotation. And it's also just fun. If there's characters that you want to bring up, or if you want to get heirloom armor or something like that, it's a really good time to do it. It probably takes less than a week right now to actually level up. Also, after pre-patch hits, we're going to have our level squished. Max level is going to be 50 before Shadowlands, and then after Shadowlands, the new max level is going to be 60. So another good way to kind of experience the new leveling and start to get excited about Shadowlands. Number three, make some gold. So making gold is really important for a new expansion because everything is going to cost gold. If you're going to be raiding or you're going to be doing Mythic Plus, obviously you're going to need gold to buy food, flasks, potions, whatever it is. And then obviously if you're someone who likes to use gold to pay for your subscription, that's a really good way to do it. And it's nice to have a pool of gold all saved up before the expansion starts, so you don't have to worry about it as much. You can start piling up some gold. Also, there might be some things you want to buy before Shadowlands comes out. For instance, you can buy the Brutosaur if you have enough time, or if you have enough gold saved up already. Congratulations, by the way, to all of the people who have already purchased that or are just about to purchase that. That is huge. That is awesome. Good for you guys. A lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about also ties into making gold. So for instance, doing old raids is a good way to make raw gold. So we're going to talk further about that. Also, having a little bit of gold saved up before the expansion comes out is useful because there are things like goblin gliders or swiftness potions that you might want to buy before you actually start in Shadowlands. So having a little bit of gold saved up to do that is a good idea. So after making gold, what do you do next? Number four, clean up your bags and bank. Being organized, it's super important. People get a little intimidated, especially if you've seen some of these crazy bags that people have all their stuff saved up from many, many expansions. Right now is a really good time to clean up your bags and your bank and just get everything organized so you can go into the new expansion feeling clean and feeling ready. You no longer need lower level gear or mats from BFA in Shadowlands. So you want to sell off those things before the market completely tanks. Once the market really tanks and people realize that these things aren't going to be useful anymore in Shadowlands, everyone's just going to sell them off. So you want to kind of be ahead of that pack. So right now is a really good time to do that. Some things that you do want to keep in your bags are flasks, pots, food, drums, anything that you might use in Shadowlands for leveling, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Hint, hint, spoiler, spoiler. Everything else you can determine whether or not you want to keep them or if you want to sell them before Shadowlands hits. But I recommend going through your bags, determining what you need, determining what you don't need, and just selling as much stuff as you can. Number 5, buy consumables for leveling in Shadowlands. You can start to see everything is kind of tying together. And one of the things that you will want to do is to buy consumables for leveling in Shadowlands. So those are things like goblin gliders, potions of swiftness, food, flasks, potions, and drums. Assuming that there aren't going to be any changes to these things for leveling in Shadowlands, that's kind of a good list of things that you're going to want to have for leveling in Shadowlands. If you are someone who wants to go quickly through the leveling process, which a lot of people do, a lot of people like rushing through that leveling experience and just being as efficient as possible, it's good to have a list of things to bring in to Shadowlands to help you do that. This is all to assist you in the leveling process, but it all depends on how you plan to level. Do you really want to take your time and read everything and do everything, or are you more interested in speeding through? So that's all up to you, and that's something you should think about before you buy all those things for leveling in Shadowlands. Number 6, transmog farming. I care a lot about the way that I look, and I think that's a really cool part about the game. You can farm transmog. A really good way to do this, which also ties into making some gold for yourself, is doing the old raids. While you're doing that, you can start to get some transmog for whatever character. So for me, I have traditionally played a lot of melee characters. I played plate classes, I've played leather classes, but I really haven't played a lot of cloth. So I don't have a lot of cloth transmog. So it's been really fun to go back through and get some of that transmog in the old raids. Another thing to think about is artifact appearance. You can still get artifact appearances, and they are some of the best appearances in the entire game. They just look really good. You can go back to the Legion content and do that. You can no longer get the ones tied directly to Legion, so you can't get the Mage Tower one, for instance, but if you already have the base Mage Tower appearance, you can still get the recolors of that. For the other artifact appearances, you can still do that. They do tend to take a lot of time, especially if it's a brand new class, so it'll give you something to invest your time into before Shadowlands comes out. You can also get your heritage armor. There's still time to do heritage armor. That ties into the experience bonus and leveling. Number 7 is mount farming. Another thing to keep in mind when you're going into a new expansion like Shadowlands, we're not going to have flying for the beginning of the expansion. I like to look at mounts, and I'm going to try to find a good ground mount so that I can ride around in style for Shadowlands. That also, once again, ties into farming old raids. A lot of the great mounts come from old raids, and you can do all these things together. So you can transmog farm, you can look for a mount, and you can also get gold at the same time. So a lot of those things just tie in. Number 8, reputation. Just like leveling, we have a reputation bonus right now, 100% reputation bonus. So it's a really good time to get some extra reputations finished if you need to. You might just be a completionist, or you are looking for a particular item tied to reputation, like a tabard, a toy, or a mount, or something like that. Now is a great time to knock out the reputation that you might need to get. That reputation bonus is said to be going through September member. We don't know if it's going away in pre-patch yet. We'll have to see. Hopefully not. Number 9 is to find a guild. If you don't have a guild yet, it's a great time to look for a guild. Don't wait until Shadowlands. Do it right now. And a lot of this stuff also applies to if you already have a guild. If you're looking for a guild, or if you already have a guild, start building friendships in your guild. Start building relationships, kind of let people know who you are as a person in your guild. That's one of the greatest parts of World of Warcraft, is having a guild and having a group of close-knit people that you enjoy spending your time with. Make your intentions in the guild clear. So are you trying to be on the raid team? Do you just want to make friends and play casually? Do you want to get a group together for Mythic Plus? And that also ties into speaking with your leadership in the guild and seeing if there's anything that you can help with. Running a guild is usually a really, really big job, especially if you are in a mythic guild or something like that, and setting yourself apart and asking if there's anything that you can do to help. The guild leadership will just really, really appreciate that, and they'll really like to see that. And even if they don't have anything specifically for you to do, just putting yourself out there and offering that up is really, really valuable to a guild. So keep that in mind. Right now is a really good time to look for a guild. A lot of guilds are recruiting. Last but not least, number 10, get your add-ons sorted out. Add-ons are a really, really cool and big part of World of Warcraft. I love my add-ons. I have tons of them and I swear by them. So a few add-on suggestions that I have to you would be Azeroth Autopilot for the leveling process. This is usually updated with every new expansion, and they'll have kind of a baseline for you to follow for leveling. So if that's your thing, I definitely swear by Azeroth Autopilot. But if it's not your thing, if you don't like using that type of an add-on, then definitely leave that one out of your list. LVUI. LVUI is a really, really great add-on, and I recommend it to everyone. I find it really important to have a clean and reliable UI. Having LVUI can really, really make your UI look clean and really, really good. So LVUI is my number one pick for your UI add-on, and I'll leave a link to my LVUI in the description. Weak auras. I find weak auras to be extremely important, especially if you're doing high-end content. I would almost say weak auras are absolutely required for high-end content like Mythic rating or high-end Mythic Plus or even Heroic rating. So if you're just looking to bring the most out of your class and be the best that you can be at a spec, weak auras is super, super vital and important. And make sure after an expansion pre-patch comes out that you update your weak auras and make sure that they implement all of the new class changes, because a lot of things are changing right now. So making sure all of those things are up to date is super, super important. Handy notes. Handy notes is also another vital one for the beginning of an expansion. Handy notes will usually have an update or plugin to install with a new expansion that will show the location of important treasures and world boss locations and things like that. So it can tend to be really, really useful for a new expansion when you're just going in blind. It'll help you find those little treasures. Trade Skill Master. Trade Skill Master is another really, really useful one. Markets are extremely volatile at the beginning of an expansion. You may find an item that's worth just a ton. So TSM has a feature that will show you what an item is currently worth in the tooltip. It's also really good to couple this with the Trade Skill Master application, which will update frequently, and it will link it with the game so you can stay up to date on what things are actually worth currently in the market. So it's important to install these things together, and there's a really good guide that you can look at on their website. It will tell you how to install TSM and also the TSM application, and those things work perfectly together. So make sure you get both of those. And then last but not least is Deadly Boss Mods. It's a tried and true add-on, and it is absolutely required if you're doing high-end content. You have to have it. It's great for doing the new dungeons when you're going in blind. It will usually have good call-outs to help you make sure you're doing the mechanics properly. It's vital if you want to raid, and you have to make sure that you update it frequently. So there you have it. That was the top 10 things that you can do before Shadowlands. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I know that I enjoyed making it, and remember to stick around with me, Blasty Face, for more World of Warcraft content. I'll see you guys next time.